In this video, we'll try to understand what is the domain name and hosting associated in a website. Many people oftentimes have a confusion between understanding these two concepts, and yes, for beginners it is also quite confusing. This video will help you understand the differences clearly and how you require both of them to create a website of your own. Let's begin. So the unique address of your website, that is called as a domain name. Now, what is domain name? Domain name is just an entity, a name which can be resolved by the internet servers to reach a particular server where your website is hosted or where your website is kept. Ideally, the website is nothing but some pages written in a computer programming languages, which when loaded in a browser can show something called as a web page. And this pages needs to be hosted at some server location. The domain name helps the internet servers to locate that particular server for you where your page is created or where your page is saved. This domain name requires a separate registration on any service provider, or it requires a separate registration on those websites who allow us to create a domain name or who allow us to register a domain for ourselves. So this registration must be done once. Once you do the registration, the domain is yours, so you own the domain completely. But remember, the registration, although it has to be done once, it has to be renewed every time. What I mean to say by this is, for example, you get a very high value domain name, which by some reason, let's say you got it, let's say fb.com. So this is a very high valued domain and you may get it, let's say you got it. So you will get it once and it will stay yours forever as long as you keep renewing it. So remember, the domain name can be purchased once, but it has to be renewed every year. But the ownership is not lost. What I mean to say is, if I buy the domain for 1 year and the next year the domain registrar is asking me 10 times the price of that domain, that doesn't happen at all because you already own the domain. It can be done by any registrant like Namecheap, GoDaddy, and there are many more such domain name registration providers available. Domain once registered can be used with any kind of website. I'll explain that in a moment. And what the domain basically does is it resolves the address of your domain to your hosting server. What is hosting server? We'll see that in a moment. For now, let us understand what is domain name. So it is www.domainname.extension. Here, the choice you have is for these two things. One, you can select your domain name. Another one is you can select your extension. If you look at the popular extensions, then you will see there is .com, .net, .co, .cc, .in, .co.in, .org, and there are many such popular domain extensions available. Ideally, the purpose of these extensions is to allow multiple different website addresses and also give an idea about what the website is about. Initially, the idea was used very clearly, like .org were only the organizational website and so, but nowadays there is no such restriction. So if you get a shorter name with .cc, people straight away go and buy it. Of course, among all the domain extensions available, .com remains the highest popular or the most popular domain extension. Then this is your own. It can be your particular name, say myname.com or something like that, or mybusinessname.com or anything .com, .in, .co, .cc or such kind of extensions. www is by default there because your address is on World Wide Web. Now here one thing you have to understand, that the domain name that you are trying to purchase may not be available because someone else has purchased it. In that case, your option is simply to choose another domain or contact the existing registrar and give an auction. Auction means what? So if he has purchased it, so let's say for example at $10, then let's say you want it because it is valuable for you, so you may offer him $100 or even $1,000 to buy that domain or to sell that domain to yourself. You might have seen this kind of a business also. Many people do what? They purchase some popular domain names and then they sell it at a premium price. This is called as domain flipping. But because of the vast variety of the extensions available, most of the times you don't need to buy the domain name at an additional cost, and you can buy it at a reasonable price with your favorite domain name. Of course, you need to search for your domain name before you can buy it, and you can search it on any domain name registrar like GoDaddy. So you can search for your domain name on those websites and see if they are available for you to purchase or not. So these are some of the popular domain names: .com, .co, .cc, .in, .co.in, .org, .net, .blog, .ai, .global, .club, .biz, .design. These are some of the offbeat domain names. Many of such domain name list extension will be available on the registrar website wherever you are going to purchase or create your domain name. Now, there are some restricted domain names also. These are called as TLDs or top level domains, which you cannot directly purchase. For example, in India, .gov.in will be under the control of only the Indian government. Similarly, TF is for France, NYC is for New York, and .edu also requires you to certify or provide a certification that you are a website or you are an institution which is related to education. Usually, us creators or any business owners will not go for having any TLD or top level domains. Now, what about hosting? What happens when you purchase a domain name? See, once you purchase a domain name, as such, the name is registered for you. You have protected the name, and now you can create a website around it. But before you create a website around it, you have to have a hosting. Hosting is what? Hosting is some space on a internet connected server. And your domain name can be attached to your hosting. Okay. So in a very simple language, I'm telling you these things to avoid technical confusion. So this domain name can be attached to a server where you have purchased your hosting, and whatever website pages you create will stay on that server. So your site stays on that server, and with the domain that you have purchased, you can connect that site to you. These are some of the most popular hosting companies like SiteGround, Bluehost, HostGator, GoDaddy, and Hostinger. You can purchase your hosting from any of these companies and connect your site to it. There are many other things in hosting also, which we will discuss in a separate video, like what is shared hosting, what is cloud hosting, what is dedicated hosting, and so on. For now, you don't need to worry about it. Now see how domain and hosting are connected. As I said, your domain can remain at one place. For example, this is your domain, which you have registered at, let's say, GoDaddy. And let's say there is a hosting which you have purchased at SiteGround. Okay, you can definitely do this. You can purchase domain at one place, purchase hosting at some other place. And there is just one small setting which you need to do. So your SiteGround hosting will have its own name server. Name server is just some small address. Whenever you want to connect your domain to the hosting created on SiteGround, all you need to do is update those name servers in the settings of GoDaddy panel. It is a little bit technical for sure, but with the GoDaddy support team, you can directly get it done. It's not that difficult. Yes, it sounds difficult, but once you do it couple of times, it's not that difficult. So conventionally, whenever you are going to create a website, this process is important. Let's say after 1 year, I find SiteGround is very good, but the price is high. So in that case, I might be going to some other provider, let's say Hostinger. Now I'll do the same process again. I will buy a pack here, and then with the Hostinger name servers, I will update my domain at GoDaddy. In this case, your domain renewal will keep doing on GoDaddy. and the hosting renewal will keep going on any of your hosting company. Remember, hosting is also recurring and you need to renew it every year. So that's how you can connect domain and hosting with each other. Then there is one more different way or one more different approach of creating the website. And that approach is called as using the site builder. Now what happens when you use a site builder? Let me create a slide. So what happens when you create a site builder or when you use a site builder? Now when you use a site builder, what happens is, site builder means what? Something like wix.com or squarespace.com. When you are using a site builder, these providers of your site builder can register your domain for you. So you don't have to go through any technical hassles. Are completely eliminated. Moreover, let's say if you have your domain already at something like GoDaddy, and if you want to create website on Wix, then again the same thing will go on. The Wix name servers have to be updated in GoDaddy. Ideally, for a beginner, I always recommend making use of a site builder. Why? Because site builder completely eliminates the need to separately purchase a hosting plan. If you are using wix.com for example, then you don't need to go for GoDaddy, SiteGround or any such hosting companies to purchase a hosting space. The hosting is provided by your site builder company itself, and most usually what happens is when the hosting is provided by the site builder companies, they are very robust. There are absolutely no technical hassles or no technical problems that you have to look into. For example, if I have a website on Hostinger hosted, then every now and then I have to go to the Hostinger panel. I have to see if there are any updates or not. And yes, there is a lot of technical work which is not at all present when you use something like Squarespace or Wix. So if you're a complete beginner in creating your website, I would strongly recommend you to go for some site builder like this. And the choice is yours. If you don't have a domain registered yet, you can directly register it at wix.com. Or if you have a domain which has been registered somewhere else, or if you have a domain which is available on GoDaddy but which is not available on wix.com, then buy it on GoDaddy and then you can connect it with your website on wix.com. I hope it clarifies many of the concepts about domain name, hosting and site builders with you. So stay tuned for the channel to see the next videos in website making. Thank you for watching this video.